2018 is already on track to just be one of the most wild years of all time. I mean, seriously, there hasn't been another year ever where this much has already happened. The president is belittling Kim Jong-un's nuclear button on his table, KFC used it to mock McDonald's, Jake Paul got caught cheating, Logan Paul got literally everyone to hate him for filming a dead body in the forest, Iran is basically in the middle of a revolution, and get this, we are only on the third day. This could have been an entire month's worth of just, wild shit in any other year before this. Trust me, I mean, there have been wild years before. We had 1945, 0 AD, 1776, 2008. Lots of years that went hard, and 2018 is on the way to basically take it all over. So President Donald Trump gets on Twitter and basically roasted Kim Jong-un the other night, and it's one of the most savage Twitter responses that I have ever seen in my life. So Donald says, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button, but it is a much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works. Just absolutely destroyed North Korea in one tweet, and it's gotten a lot of the liberals and the left upset that he said this. They think that it's going to cause World War III, and I mean, let's be honest with ourselves, one tweet from Donald Trump isn't going to send the entire world into a nuclear holocaust. One, Kim Jong-un isn't actually going to nuke the United States, he just wants to extort us and make us mad. Two, if he ever does try to attack the United States, he will die very quickly, and unfortunately it will lead to a lot of dead civilians, but Kim Jong-un has shown time and time again that his people do not matter to him. I mean, I don't like Donald Trump. I hate to, put my political views all in your face like that. But I don't like Donald Trump. I think he's a buffoon, and I think he's, unqualified, really, to hold office. But I also think some of the hate against him and the media coverage about him is just ridiculous. Like, did you know that at one point Donald Trump was basically, the media's enemy over at CNN because he got 2 scoops of ice cream? Anyways, KFC decided that this was the perfect time to throw shade at McDonald's, tweeting basically the same thing, but edited to involve fast food to be funny. McDonald's leader Ronald said that he has a burger on his desk at all times. Will someone from his big-shoed, red-nosed regime inform him that I too have a burger on my desk? But mine is a box meal, which is bigger and more powerful than his, and mine has gravy. So as you can tell, it's trying to be funny, and it kind of is, but can we just take a minute to point out that KFC tastes like literal ass? Even if McDonald's is barely any better, there is no reason for KFC to be trying to be big dogs on Twitter, even though it was funny. Jake Paul got caught cheating, and Logan Paul disrespected the dead in a Japanese suicide forest, issued a couple half-assed apologies, and will basically suffer no more consequences beyond the hatred of the entire community. I've already made a video on both of these incidents. It was actually yesterday's video. It will be on your screen in a card right now if you have not seen it. But Iran, however, this is the main thing I really wanted to talk about, is, Iran is, however, in the middle of a revolution, or at least in the middle of mass protests against their corrupt and controlling government. In Iran, women's rights are virtually non-existent, censorship is extreme, and speaking out against the government can get you killed. And unfortunately, dozens of people have already been killed by the government during this revolt, which started in very late December but has really started to pick up over the past 2 days. The Iranian military has already been recorded attacking unarmed peaceful protesters, and the government has been caught censoring the internet in order to avoid free speech, fueling more protests. Or perhaps, reporting on their mistreatments. The protests have been started because the unemployment rate among young Iranians is 40%, which is abnormally high. The economy is stalling even though international sanctions have been lifted, which should have allowed for their economy to pick up tremendously. However, it's barely grown and it's starting to stagnate a little bit more. The government slashed money for the poor and raised the price of fuel, and the rising prices of goods in the nation has frustrated the workforce, which is not seeing a rise in wages. Also, the ruling class in Iran are clerics, and they oppose religious and political views that do not align with theirs. And one of the most tragic things surrounding this story is that protesters who are arrested, which has already included hundreds of people, will likely face the death penalty for their actions. I mean, just think about that. Those who revolt against an oppressive government that censors them and oppresses them so bad that their basic human rights are being violated will likely be killed when they reach a quote-unquote trial. I feel like we as Americans, and we as citizens of democracies in the West here, really take for granted what rights and liberties we have. I mean, this situation is tragic. I know the United States has its shortcomings. I mean, we all know this. The US looks like a laughingstock sometimes. There's been plenty of trials that weren't fair that have, you know, made the media coverage really over the last 10 to 15, maybe even 20 years now. But can you imagine being just hundreds of people being put to death because they fought for their basic liberties? These people just want freedom. They want their government to work for them. They want higher wages. They want democracy. They want the right to believe in whatever they want. They want their women to have rights. They want rid of oppression, and they want freedom. And they will be put to death for it. We do complain about our government, and yes, it needs to be complained about. The US government is highly dysfunctional, and it's somewhat oppressive towards us. It violates our rights sometimes. But can you imagine having to raid police stations for weapons and being killed because that's how bad things have gotten? I mean, even though there's issues here, we really should be more appreciative of how many rights we have and how people like us can actually change things here without facing consequences like this. I mean, you can believe whatever you want. You can be a Muslim, Christian, Jewish, atheist, agnostic. You can be a liberal or a conservative or a communist or a democratic socialist, an anarchist, and you won't face penalty. You won't have to worry about whether or not the government is going to come in your house and kill you or kill you dead in the streets because you took your hijab off. Anyone seeking freedom like this, anyone seeking their human rights should not be subject to death, shouldn't be, you know, subjected to oppression. These are basic human rights. I mean, please be appreciative that you don't have to be sentenced to the death penalty to make sure that perhaps your grandchildren will be able to vote in a free society and live in prosperity. It's just been wild so far. I mean, it's only 3 days in and we've already just seen some insanity from the president down to vloggers to the Middle East, and I'm sure more will be on the way. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Tell me what you think. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Consider supporting me on Patreon. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, signing out.